Welcome to Mental Health Mondays. We are so happy to be here and we are happy that you are here too. Please put in the chat where you are viewing from. We want to say a special welcome to all of you and all the different locations. We know that Living Manna Church is all around the world and our mental health Mondays viewership is all around the world as well. So we are just happy to be here on this Monday evening and that you have decided to join us on a Monday evening. Like we know Mondays are, they're Mondays, right? You have to come off the weekend, but you have chosen to close your Monday off, depending on where you are in the parts of the world. You could be already into Tuesday, but if you're here in America, you decided to close your Mondays off with Mental Health Mondays. So we are honored and thankful that you are here. Like to just welcome my co-host, Dr. Ricardo Whyte.
Good to be here with you, sis. And
Yes.
of course, we got to say hello to our partner at a distance, Clint. Good to see you, man.
Yes.
First
Yes.
up.
It's like Clint is, yeah, right. He's like, maybe there's three hosts. Clint is always here. So he's another co-host.
Absolutely.
But yes, want to say welcome to Shan from Georgia. Welcome.
Nice.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays. It's just such a blessing to have everyone. And, it from your comments and things that you all have shared that you were really blessed by our program last week. And we were talking about the book, Atomic Habits. And so we're going to be doing part 2 today, talking about how to create new habits that stick and that work. And so, yeah, this is an exciting topic. And as you can see on your screen, the author is James Clear. James Clear. And, it's like this book was a number one seller on the New York number one seller on the New York Times list. And he's been on, because I researched him after we did the program. I did a little bit more research. He's been on the CBS Good Morning show and I believe the Today Show as well. So he is he's all over the place, but I can tell you that his information is really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely, highly acclaimed.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm struck by his very important statement in the book. You do not rise to the level of your goals; you descend to the level of your systems.
Yes.
If you don't like your outcomes, you got to look at your systems, and you want to look at your systems as a vehicle. You can say that you're going to New York, but if you're not getting on the plane to get you there, you can forget about it. And so paying attention to your systems and where are your systems taking you.
Right.
And so he then kind of shares in this book, what are some of the small things you can do that can have a tremendously huge impact on your life?
Yes.
And that's what we're wanting to go over with you in this training today.
Yes, that's one of the most impactful things in his book. There's many, many, many powerful things, but that is definitely one of the really powerful thoughts, that these little tiny small changes that are not difficult to do can make all the difference in the world and help you to get to your destination where you're wanting to go.
Absolutely.
In your life. So, okay. Please put in the chat where you're viewing from, but also be thinking of the questions you may have, because this is our second program on this topic, and you are part of our program. You help it to run, help it to go when you ask your questions and your powerful thoughts and comments as well. So we'd like to highlight those as well. So we want to take your questions and we will do our very best to answer them. And welcome Candace from Georgia. It's good to see you. And Myrna from Tacoma, Washington. Welcome to Mental Health Mondays. They all come in clumps. Like there's another Washington State. Veronica from Washington State.
We got Ray from Kansas.
Yes.
Agenda Kansas. That's interesting.
That's a cool name for a town. Agenda.
Yeah, agenda. They got it. They better have it together. I tell you that.
That's right. They better have it together. We have David from Philadelphia. Oh,
Amra.
Yes, stormy Northern California. Wow, God, yeah.
Yes, it's raining over here.
Oh man, I should have talked about that first. I forgot. Yes, I don't know how I forgot. My mom and our son that live in Central California, they lost power yesterday
Oh wow.
mid-morning. It came
Wow.
back today in the afternoon. So
Wow.
yeah, they're closer to the coast, but
Yeah.
they had what they say is hurricane wind. So we're definitely praying for California because when I see it all on CNN and MSNBC and the national news, it's like, wow, this is not just some basic rainstorm. This is a huge thing for all of you in California. So
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
safe and
That's the goal.
stay safe. Um, yeah, stay safe.
Yes.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Takara
Yes,
from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Indiana.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're about to jump into this, but I just want to invite you guys to share on your social media that you are currently watching a mental health program and it's live and they can ask their questions. And so you can invite people to the program to participate as well. And so um, we are excited about this topic and we're going to jump right into it because we talked about just how difficult it is to make a New Year's resolution. We'll use the example of a New Year's resolution and stick to it. We talked about that last week and why that is. James Clear talked about setting goals. There's nothing wrong with setting goals, but if the system doesn't change, the goals are going to fail. And so that's something that for myself, that was really powerful. That was really powerful because it takes us back to what, really builds you up to achieve your goal. And if that thing that builds you up to achieve your goal is faulty, then again, you're not going to achieve your goal. So if the system is faulty, or doesn't lead you to that trajectory or that direction, again, you're not going to achieve your goal. But tonight, we're going to talk about how to create good habits. Were you going to say something, Dr. Whyte?
I was. I don't know about you, but like once in a while, there are people who enjoy taking a red-eye flight. And even for those of us who don't take a red-eye flight,
I
it
used
is
to like
fun.
to. I
It
used to do
is
that.
it is fun to get on a flight and then you just go to sleep.
Oh, I don't care if it's 12 o'clock at midday. I'm getting on a flight and going to sleep.
You go to sleep.
Yes, I
And
go.
part of that is that's the kind of comfort you can have when you've built the right system. It's
Yes.
like you can rely on that system to where it is just going to take you where you're trying to get to.
Yes.
And that's why you put so much intention. That's why the airline industry is so regulated because there's so much comfort you can have that
Right.
you getting on that plane, you're going to get to your destination. That's the kind of attention we have to put into the systems that are deciding the outcomes of our lives. Over
Yes.
to you.
Yes. Well, in the book, Atomic Habits, and let's ask this because we did encourage you all to get the books. Did anybody that listened to last week that's here, did anyone get the book? And again, we're not promoting it because we get something from it. We're promoting it because it's a fantastic book. So we're just curious if anyone actually got the book. So you put a 1 in the chat if you got the book or got the audio book. And it's okay if you didn't, but
Absolutely.
we would just like to know.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes. And so the first law in creating good habits that the book Atomic Habit talks about. All right. So, okay. Well, JW Box have read that book before and it's a really good book. Okay. Well, you have the book because you had it already. Well, good for you. There's the first law is what he likes to call making it obvious and helping you to create that new habit. And the first step is he says it's to fill out a habits scorecard. Write down your current habits to become aware of them. So I like that he says so you can become aware of them, and that's so huge because we like to say in our minds that, oh, we don't, it's difficult for us to stick with a habit or to do a habit, when actually we all have habits that we do each and every day.
Oh,
And they're
pow-
like, and they're automatic habits.
powerful, powerful. Tons of habits as you go through.
Tons.
How do you like to wake up? And you deciding that, hey, I don't wake up at a regular time. That's a habit. You are
Right.
habitually inconsistent. You know,
You
you
don't
know,
set an alarm. You just let your
you
body
don't
wake
set
you
an
up.
alarm. You don't decide when you're going to exercise. What you eat, you grab a Danish on your way into work. That's habitual. And
Yes.
so what we're championing is pay attention to where it's getting you, because if you don't like your destination, you got to change the vehicle. You got to
Got it.
change. But no,
Got
that making it obvious. And then I forget if it was, yeah, it's Solomon. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the reference to heart we've mentioned before is the subconscious mind. And subconscious meaning below consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
if you really want to understand who you are, you have to put effort into understanding what exactly is conscious.
Yes.
What exactly is going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a big old ocean. You know, when the Bible was written, they weren't too familiar with what was going on in the ocean, because
Right.
obviously they didn't have diving suits and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were a lot of superstitions about the sea because they didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And I think we are also in a kind of vulnerable state when we don't take the time to really try to understand what is going on in the depths of that subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
because it's what's determining who we are. And so back to his statement, there are a lot of invisible habits that we are being victimized by. So
Mm.
the goal is, let's make this stuff obvious, because then you can say, now that I see you, I don't like it and I want to change that.
Right.
Well, for you to change, first you have to see what it is that's ruling you.
Yes. Yes. And just spending that time to become aware. So you have to set out intentional time to be able to do that. You have to be very intentional about that, and and be honest with yourself. What are these things that I'm doing that I don't like? We actually have Clint is asking our first question. He said, how could we apply these principles to a family unit? To a family unit.
Well, that's profound.
It
Um,
is.
and I'm so happy that he asked that question, because a lot of us find ourselves as leaders of the household. I think, Clint, one of the first tools that it's really important to take advantage of when you're talking about leading a family and setting the pace for the family is family meetings.
Yes.
Family meetings. That is like, and being pretty strict about, let's make this happen. The
Mhm.
same intention that's put into board meetings at work, and those meetings are essential for what happens in that company.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what we got to do in our homes. Um,
Mhm.
what's the budget of the homes? What are the
Mm.
major goals of the home? What are the academic goals? Wouldn't it be great to plan for awesome things? What is it that would make this home happy? And
Mm.
then you put your brain to that. So Clint, if one of the first things is having those home meetings and making them exciting so that people actually want to attend them. What were your thoughts, Mr. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about the question and everything. I'm thinking, like, when you're thinking of like a family, changing the habits, like you definitely have to have buy-in by the other individuals in the family, right? To change a habit, to really change the system, there has to be some buy-in individually, or you're just forcing them to do something. Does that make sense? And so
Totally.
having an open discussion about um, in what direction you want the family to go, and to get that feedback so that they will make the same decision to again, change the system so of the family and the unit, so that if, I don't know, if it's keeping the kitchen cleaner or, chores that are done around the house, let's talk about this on how we can make this um, the same principles as for an individual that for a family. Let's make it as obvious, the things that will be, like he talks about, cues, basically triggers that will remind you, like, oh, to cause you to automatically do these things. I think that's important when you're talking about a family unit, because if you just come and say, okay, we're going to change this, especially when you're dealing with kids or teenagers, you got to get some buy-in or it's going to be a struggle.
Well, what's interesting is what you're underscoring is there's a phase where we're dealing with our kids where we can use compulsion, not force, but like compulsion. Okay, we're doing this now, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And that phase needs to transition to influence, from compulsion to influence. And with influence, now you are relating to them and you're getting their feedback, and things are sort of negotiated, still from a parental standpoint, but you're really attuned to, well, what is their priority? And
Right.
how can you help them understand that actually what you're trying to do honors what they ultimately prioritize? And when it's approached from that mindset, it can be a lot easier to enroll the children, the teenagers, into what it is that you want to do.
Right.
But look at Rayanne's questions. I found it more difficult now that I live alone than it was to stick with things when my kids were still here. We had schedules to stick to, but now it's harder. Well,
Because it's just you.
that schedule used to, like, if you want to have a miserable time with kids, take them off a schedule.
True.
Take them out. Like, your peace is determined by a well thought through schedule. Well, they're going to be tired now. Well, they need to go to bed now. Well, they need to study now. They need to, like, you live and die by it, so that now when you don't have that, penalty, if you're off the schedule, you can see what Rayanne is experiencing. So it's interesting that she would say that. What were you going to say, sister?
I was just going to say to Rianne, looks like that her question. Oh no, Rianne, yes, that your system changed, because before that it was the schedule was, the system was there because of the kids that you were raising, and now that you're by yourself, you don't have that same system because it's just you. So now you have to figure out, all right, how do I adjust the system for an individual, for myself, so that I can reach the change the habits and reach the goals that I want to.
Exactly.
So, yeah. All right. If you're a husband, if your husband isn't on board with it, but change is essential, how do you handle that? Ooh, these are good questions tonight. These are good questions.
Therapy.
It is therapy, and we are mental health professionals, but we're not your therapist, but we're giving
Yeah.
some psychoeducation out here. I just want to take a stab at that, and then I definitely want you to as well. It's a good question. Individually, of course, like what we're talking about is you're accepting the changes that you can do for yourself. Like, you can't change your husband. You can't force him to want to, I don't know if it's a family change or if it's a household change or what it is. But of course you can do it for yourself. And how do you handle when he doesn't want to do that? Again, you cannot force him, but you can lead by example. You can show him, show by example how this is working for you and how efficient things are going since you changed the system within your own life. And so let's just give the example that maybe you're wanting to do a tidier household or different things like that, or I don't know what the situation is, just throwing that as an example, but you're starting it in your corner. You're starting those little changes every single day. And he's seeing how that's working for you. And you're cheerful and you're happy and you're not as stressed. And again, you're making it look attractive to him. Now he again has to make his own decision about that. And harping on him or yelling at him, that's not gonna work. So you can't do that.
Yeah. There's a myth that you can't change people. But we can influence one another, and
Mhm.
we do it all the time. Now I said therapy, and I apologize for sounding kind of just tongue in cheek and oversimplifying it. But there goes into a lot goes into trying to get the relationship to where you are partners rather than adversaries. And I think as couples, we do have to take the time to figure out, you know what? How do I what am I prepared to invest to make sure that our relationship is one where we're partners? And the question then comes down to, okay, what perhaps has my husband asked of me that I'm not so ready to give?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
and could it be that when I give that thing, it might make it easier for him to give his thing? So it's a lot of giving and taking in the relationship. We make bids, and over a and I should define a bid. A bid is a request, you know, and bids can be big. um let's have our mothers move in with us, and bids can be as a kind of made you gasp there, sister. And then
Very big.
bids can be, hey, today was a hard day. Bid being, hey, can you validate the fact that I'm working hard for us, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
So we're always making bids, and when bids go unanswered, it can then lead us to start turning away. And
Mhm.
now we're noticing, you know what? I can't get this person to respond to any of my requests, and
Mhm.
they might be thinking in their mind, I can't get you to answer any of my requests. And you might be thinking, but I'm giving a ton.
Mhm.
And that's where at the start of Mental Health Mondays, Sister Atonte talked about real giving.
Hmm.
Real giving. Are you really giving? Are you really giving real giving? So what is real giving? Real giving is not giving what you want to give. Real giving is giving what that person is asking for.
Right.
And that can be tough. I'll give you a little simple, a silly one. So we make shakes in the morning, right? Um, and so my wife would be like, "Hey man, make me a shake," and then she'll say, "Put it in a cup." I'm like, "What?
Well, what else do you put in it?
A glass,
No, I mean, I'm serious. What do you normally put in
a
it?
glass." Like
Oh, a glass. I thought you said
wants
at
to
last. Okay,
she
a
wants to put it
glass.
in a plastic cup, and I'm just I don't know how
You want it to be you want it to be more, like, elegant, like,
elegant and
oh,
like the
okay.
way it feels, the way it looks, you know? Like,
But
can you imagine going to a restaurant and they give you a plastic cup?
maybe is she taking it on the road, like, in the car? Like, is she going somewhere? Because maybe she
No,
has more.
we could be sitting right across. She likes it in a plastic cup.
Well, it's what she likes. See, that's what you got to do.
I like have to put my nose up like okay, well, all right, this is how you want it, so this is how you get it. You got to give real.
Wha
You got to give it how that person wants
Yes,
it.
yes.
And
That's a
so
huge lesson in marriage, and it's a huge lesson to learn and takes a lot of maturity. But go ahead.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we're sorry we kind of beat that to death. Ray, I think it was Ray that brought that up. But sometimes the commitment to really say, okay, you know what, partner, what is it that you want? Let me give it to you the way you want it.
Yes.
Sometimes that can open the door for you to get that thing in return that you really want.
Mhm.
So just be
Mhm.
aware of that. Over to you, sis.
Yeah, no. Amen to everything that you just said, and, I just wanna say, like, as far as, new habits, like and there are household things, and I keep going back to that because a lot of times the management of the house, you know, people get into disagreements and they want to create new habits. But, really a lot of the habits that need to be created is individual habits. Like the habits that my husband needs to create are his, they're individual to him, and mine are individual to myself as well. So if we focus on ourselves and of course, let our spouse focus on them, on their stuff, and we lead by example. We definitely can have an impact and hopefully helping them wanting to come together on some of those joint things that you can do together for the success of the home and for the family. So,
Absolutely.
yes. And so I want to go to, we're looking at how to create good habits. I'm sorry, did we answer this question? Because I don't want to pass by. I
How do
think
you
this, I think this is going to answer this question, but we can go ahead and read it.
how do you keep your resolutions without getting tired of doing the same thing over and over if you're a person that likes change? Do
Well,
you
yeah. Well, I was just going to say they keep saying keep doing the same things over and over. But if you're wanting to do something new, then you're setting out a new resolution. And we're about to talk about how to create habits that last, create habits that last. So hopefully this will answer that question. But the second thing, after you become aware of the current habits that you do every day, those automatic habits, um, that we do, like we don't tell, there's a lot of things that we do that we don't consciously think of. So they're in our subconscious. Our brain is working, but it's in our subconscious. It's not in our conscious mind that we're telling ourselves, okay, do this. We automatically do those things. And so keeping number one, keeping a scorecard of those habits. The second thing is use implementation intentions. And that means you're telling yourself, I will do this thing, dot, 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 whatever that is, at this time and at this location. And he even talks about in the book saying it out loud. And I loved that. I loved that. There's something about saying it out loud with this intention, what you're going to do at this time and in this location. So if I want to start drinking more water, then I'm going to say, at 9 a.m. in the kitchen, I'm going to drink 3 glasses of water or, 3 cups of water. And so now I have I've said the time, I've said the location, and I've said it out loud so that, like, it's almost like you have, let's just say, a job appointment for your job, right? You're going to make that appointment because your boss said you have to be there at this day and this time. And so it helps to motivate you to be there and to do what you said you want to do. You don't just say, oh, I want to drink more water in 2024. No, you have to say, at this day, at this time, I'm going to drink 3 cups of water. And then you do that for however much water and whenever you want to, as you want to continue to do that throughout the day.
Yeah, I really like the talking to yourself. And I know that sounds strange coming from a psychiatrist, of course.
I tell my clients all the time, the healthiest people are the ones that talk to themselves in their minds, not out loud to false things, but because they're having a conversation with themselves, telling themselves, okay, maybe you shouldn't say that, say this, you're having a conversation.
Right. Well, but I am championing the explicit, the explicit of like the talking and the declaring. It's very powerful. Now, obviously, if you're working in a corporate setting and people are watching you, they do not want to see you talking to yourself.
Yeah, you
right?
don't want to talk
So,
out loud and say that.
you're not trying to get yourself fired or sent to the psychiatrist.
I was
You're not going for that.
no.
But there is something powerful about declaring. There's
Mhm.
something absolutely powerful. Focus is a big deal today. And one of the ways you can kind of focus yourself as you're working is to kind of declare that thing that you're doing. Because you're gonna have a hard time saying, all right, time to get on Instagram reels now.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just not how it works. You're gonna be
No.
like, well, I don't really want to do that. I'd rather do something productive. I want to move towards my goal. So it's one of the ways of kind of externalizing your
Yes.
thoughts.
Yes.
So that's what's kind of powerful about declaring. But again, do your best not to look crazy, people. Come on.
I know. I talk to my clients about this, and when they're doing affirmations, I'll say, especially with the students, because I work at the university as well. And so when I'm talking to the students, I was like, you do this when your roommate is not in the room. You
Please.
do this when you're it's just you, right?
Or,
But
or
you're
explain to people what you're doing, but
yes, you're
please don't
yes.
don't go getting labeled crazy. Please don't do
No,
that.
you say your affirmations. I tell them to look in the mirror. I like them to see themselves and hear themselves saying these positive affirmations out loud. And so, but I always do remind them, you just do it while it's just you. And
Look
yeah,
at Clint dropping bombs, talking about intentional cognitive evolution. Ice,
nice. I love it.
ice, ice, baby, huh, Clint?
I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you set and he was very specific in the book about time and location. Very, very specific about that. So that's one.
Because
Go ahead.
because remember, you're wanting things to trigger you.
Yes.
You're wanting to leverage triggers. So and you're trying to get this external cue that's going to automatically push you down doing the behavior that you want. Again, remember, putting intention into the system. You want your environment working for you. So you want that when you see that thing, you know that now it's time to do that thing. So for me, there's like a thing that's right in front of my couch. So when I look at that, I remember, hey, did I do my sit-ups today? Because that's where I do my sit-ups. You
Okay.
know, and so it's like it's this visual cue. Okay, part of your routine is you do your sit-ups. And remember, I started at 5. I'm like up to 30 now. Like
Congratulations.
so so but it started at 5. I didn't have to overwhelm myself. It was
Mhm.
easy. It was enjoyable.
Baby
So
steps. Baby steps.
baby steps, routine, much more than intensity. That's what you
Right.
want.
Right. Um, this next one I love. I love from the first time I heard it, I was like, this is amazing. But he talks about habit stacking.
Mhm.
Habit stacking. So it's gonna go back to first becoming aware of your automatic habits that you already do, that it's just like automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to make yourself do it or remind yourself. You just automatically do it. So you want to stack um, a habit. You want to add a habit that you want to do with a habit that you already automatically are doing, and it just makes so much sense. I want to tell this story and then give an example of that. So today, um, with a client, with a student client, she came in and she was, talking about wanting to make some changes, and she even said, "Hey, I had all these New Year's resolutions, but I'm already, not doing them." And I thought, wow, well, I am just doing a program this evening with my co-host about this exact thing. This is what I'm thinking in my head as she's talking. And I was like, I'm going to tell her about atomic habits, right? She said, and before I could even say it, she said, I bought a book to help me. And she
Wow.
says, it's called Atomic Habits.
Wow.
And when she said it, I literally, I had the biggest smile on my face. And she was like, "Wow, my therapist is really happy about this." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. We're doing a program. I'm currently listening to the audiobook, and we're doing a program about this." And so I was just so happy for her that she, on her, initially on her own, got that book. But I wanted to say, what she was, one thing that she said was, I have a hard time having devotion in the morning. And so I thought I went right to the stacking is what I mentioned to her because she hasn't gotten the book yet. And I said, well, what? And I asked her, I said, what do you already automatically do every morning? And she said, I make my bed every morning without fail. And I thought, okay, well, you could also have whatever you want to read for your devotion or even your Bible, like right under your pillow or right next to your pillow to help you to trigger you as a cue. Okay, now I'm going to read the Bible or whatever devotion or prayer or whatever. And so, yeah, I just couldn't believe that she said that. And so that's an example of habit stacking, but also another example is something we all do is we brush our teeth
Brush our teeth. Yeah.
every morning. We better be brushing our teeth every morning.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so an example that he used in the book was if you sometimes, some people take vitamins, like multivitamins for health reasons or whatever, but sometimes they forget and then they stop taking them or whatever. So if you want to make it a habit that you take your vitamins, put the vitamins by your toothpaste or toothbrush so that it's going to be a cue to take your vitamins. That's
well said. No, well said. And so for those of you who might be struggling to say, I don't know that I have any habits that I can stack onto, everyone gets out of bed. Everyone gets out of bed. That you have to do. So now you have a starting point. What do you want to pack onto getting out of bed? What's the first thing you want to do? And that, for example, can be, how you want to stack. And for those of you who struggle to get out of bed, man, this was super helpful. And I think I got this from the book Extreme Ownership. What it talked about was, how do you want to get out of bed? Like, do you want to struggle? Do you want the alarm clock to go off? Do you want to, like, really and truly imagine, how do you want to get out of bed tomorrow? Like, get that picture in your mind.
Right.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, the most attractive picture of getting out of bed is when that time hits, whether it's an alarm or whatever, you get up with some power, you get up, and you just have had your first win for the day. I got out of bed the way I wanted to, the way I imagined it. I was excited. I got up with power. It's like I didn't start the morning off with failure. Okay.
Right.
I'm starting with power. And so you get out of bed the way you want to get out of bed, and then you build on that. Okay.
Right.
And so and I think what we are really getting at is we're getting you guys to plan what tomorrow is going to look like. Don't just let it happen. You actually get to design your tomorrow.
Yes.
And we're saying, man, craft a system that makes everything else easy. Okay. Because that's how you're going to get to the desirable destination, as opposed to just landing on any random destination.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was going to give another example of that too, going back to the water, because so many people need to be drinking more water, or they make that a resolution, or they say, oh, my goal, as you said, like everybody has to get up out of bed, and you could put
water right by
your right there. So that's the first thing that you see. Yeah. So you're getting up as a habit. You're not going to stay in bed all day. You should not stay in bed all day. You're going to get up. We all get up. And then the first thing that you see if you open your eyes and look to your nightstand, is a water bottle.
And water is phenomenal, because somebody asked this question. So El Sol, for example, she asked this question about, hey, for those with foggy brain or maybe some ADD struggling with setting goals and reaching them, what do you think about using coffee to keep focused? The option that I really like for foggy brain is water.
Yeah.
Is water. So many people, part of what they're experiencing is dehydration. Now, obviously, we're not your medical practitioners or whatever, and there are people who they have to be careful about their water consumption. So obviously, consult your medical team. But the reality is, for most people, most of us can tolerate 2 liters of water per day. For most people, again, you consult your thing. But what happens if you start your morning off with an adequate volume hydration, with the appropriate water intake? Man, that gets your brain thinking. And it's not associated with the jitters that sometimes you get with caffeine. No, it's just this, man, I feel like I got energy. And I'll say this as well, like around 10 a.m. for a lot of people, the energy just kind of dips a little bit. Yet again, if you hydrate, one of the things that will happen is it can pick you up. And again, it's not this up and down, it's more consistent. So, and these are things that help with focus.
Right.
I can't help but tell you, whether you have ADHD or not,
yes.
I assure you, having appropriate nutrition is important, because heaven forbid that 10 a.m. time hits and you're hungry. Like, if you're struggling to focus, do you want to put the gorilla of hunger on top of that? And
Mm-hmm.
then of course there's the fatigue. You want to be dehydrated. So you're struggling with focus at baseline. Now you're dehydrated. Now you're hungry. And it's going to be a disaster when you're trying to focus on the important meeting that you're having,
Mm-hmm.
or the class that you're supposed to be focused in. And so we're saying, man, there are some simple things you can do that will set you up to win.
Yes, yes. We have a question. Should we get a morning routine planner?
Tokara, great question. Go for it.
Yes, it is a great question. If the planner is helping you change the system to get you to where you're trying to the goal that you're trying to, or change the habit that you're trying to change, then yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tokara, you got to do what works for you. Now, for me, this is where I got to shout out the iPhone and my reminders app, because I literally have a reminder note. It's not a reminder note, but one of the subjects is morning routine. Morning routine. And so what I love about it is as I do each thing, I can hit that dot and it just will like disappear. And guess what? At the end of the day, I can hit those dots again and it's ready for me for the next morning. So
Mhm.
that's how I can sort of do those things that I've built into my routine. I can add things, I can subtract things, I can move them around. This is where I love iPhone, I got to tell you.
Oh yeah.
But that reminders app for me is so important. It is in that first
Mhm.
slot in the corner, right next to my thumb.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, choose the system, choose the tools of your choosing. But your goal is what you end up with is that airplane that is going to shuttle you to your dreams.
Right.
And it's so well built, you can go to sleep and
Mhm.
it's going to take you right to that destination.
Yes, I love my iPhone. It's right here. I love my iPhone, but I'm old fashioned. I have this planner that there's the Bible and then there's my planner, meaning it helps relieve stress because it helps me stay so organized and knowing what's going on. So it has work stuff in there, but it has the personal life stuff too. So I know, which direction I'm going. And it's just so very helpful too. And I took this from you and um, doing it the night before. Like after this program, I'm going to spend between 5 and 10 minutes planning my tomorrow, making sure, everything so I'm prepared and then I don't go in tomorrow anxious. So
No.
that tool is amazing. I do that every night during the week. I don't do it on the weekends, but during the week I do that.
Now I do enjoy my old school tools as well. I've
Mhm.
always got one of these strategically placed.
Right.
This one of these is always near me. Like there's one in my car. One of these is always near me.
Right.
Um, Always on a desk, always, because when an idea comes, it's like you're wanting to jot it down as soon as possible. And I can't like find it and go looking. No, but I just want to jot it down, capture it as quickly as possible.
Right.
And if you need to remember something, so on and so forth. So there is a mixture. So you do have to choose what's going to work for you.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
but the
Takara said
bottom line,
Takara said she needs both. She needs the iPhone and the planner.
exactly,
Whatever,
exactly,
whatever works for you.
exactly. No, beautiful, beautiful.
Hmm. I kind of want to circle back to the stacking because he brought
Yeah,
out
yeah,
in the book. It brings out some really powerful thoughts that you want to, like he used an example that he wanted to do, I don't know, so many push-ups at lunchtime from his work, but then it got to it wasn't specific enough. Like, so he had to make it more specific to say, when I close my computer at work, I guess right before lunch, he wanted to do 20 push-ups.
right.
So, and that helped like make it more just more not too general because you don't want to fail because maybe lunch is going to be at a place where you can't do the push-ups or who knows, and then it puts you in a space to fail. So, but if it's make it easier on yourself. Say, you're in your office. So when you close your computer in your office by yourself, you can do the 20 push-ups.
He wanted a specific cue to
Yes.
trigger the behavior. Like,
Yes.
so he wanted, what is the specific thing that when I do it, it's going to tell me immediately, now I can do this. And so
Right.
That's why he was like, okay, so now I need to close the computer. That'll be the cue. You're
Yes.
trying to build an airtight system. Was there something more that you wanted to mention?
No, no. I wanted to bring that out. Just making it easier for ourselves and making the cues to be obvious and clear so that again, you're putting it with something that you're stacking with something that you already do. And that's already automatic, but it's something that the cue for it is so glaring that you won't miss that.
It triggers you. Okay, I just want to circle back really quickly. We're going to come to you, Veronica. So be patient, be patient. But Deborah, you had asked that question. How do you keep your resolutions without getting tired of doing the same thing over and over if you're a person that likes change? And so, as Sister Atonte said, all of this is answering that. But one of the specific things that he highlights much later on is he talks about tracking, like tracking your habits, Deborah. And one of the things that he mentioned is giving yourself a visual cue that you're engaging in that activity. What you're really doing is you're sort of engaging in gamification. So, for example, Deborah, he talks about purchasing a calendar where you can mark X's so that as opposed to being bored by, hey, I'm doing this every day, you're going to see the reward of an X and you're going to see this like line of X's where it hasn't been broken. You're going to get this string of unbroken X's. And so now the game becomes, how long can I maintain this unbroken streak? Right? And so now you're getting this visual reminder to keep at the activity. Remember, what I'm championing is that you have a dream. You have a dream of, I don't know, let's say you want to lose 10 pounds or something like that, right? 10, 20, whatever it is. It's like, it can be so overwhelming if the focus is on losing this huge thing as opposed to, no, let me make sure that my behaviors are congruent with this goal. So I need routine and I need that visual reminder. I need that visual reinforcer. Hey, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. Let me see how long I can keep this streak going. And then, so you fall off one day. Guess what you do? You get back right back on and see how can let me get another streak going. So Deborah, gamification rather than the boredom of I'm doing this every day. No, it's gamified that I'm improving my life. I'm moving closer to my goals. I'm gonna wear that dress that I love or whatever awesome thing it is that you set up for yourself. But I think that's how you overcome the routine. And now, Veronica, go ahead, sis.
Okay, so we have like two. Yes, well, we can answer these two questions, and then I want to go to the final one in the first law. This is just the first law.
The first law.
But, so yeah, let's just see.
Okay.
What Veronica has been patient. Is it just as important to make goals, not to do something, as it is to do something?
I love that question.
That is a great question.
I love that question. So there are so many, it's almost like saying, like we have been championing that if you want to get to the right destination, you have to get on the right bus.
Yeah.
Now, it is, how important is it that I don't get on the wrong bus? You know, how important is that? It's critical. But I'll tell you what I don't do. I don't waste time paying attention to all the wrong buses that are going on. I don't like, well, let me make sure I know all the buses that are not going to my destination. No, I make it a point to really hyper focus on what's the bus that's going to my destination? What's the plane that's going to my destination? I really kind of tune out those places that are not going to my destination. I'm sitting with the people that are going to my destination. So there is I would say it's important to not sit at the wrong spot. But the real tool is, let me really hyper focus on where I'm trying to go. What are the activities that I'm trying to do that are more aligned with who I'm becoming? What are your thoughts, sis?
No, I agree with what you're saying. And I think that if we go back to last week, what he was talking about, making that 1% change, and then in a year, a daily little baby step every day, you'll be a change. You'll be 34% changed. You'll be more changed of a person, 34%. And that's a huge amount of change in just a year, 34% from who you used to be. So I think when you're making these positive changes, you're you're losing the negative ones that you're wanting not to do. So you're going in a different direction, leaving it behind. Like Veronica was saying, she doesn't want to be on social media as much. Okay, so make a baby step every day that you have less screen time. And by the end of the year, you'll have 34% less screen time than you started the year. So taking those baby steps.
Well, this is a critical tool that we used in addictions.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm not going to fill in the blank, drink, smoke, what have you. What am I going to fill that time with?
Right. Right.
More so than what am I not going to do? Well, what am I going to do?
Yes.
If I'm not going to do the screen time, what am I going to do? What is the activity that's more congruent with my goals?
Right.
Maybe
Right.
it's time to start sitting down with a book. Maybe I'll keep a close book, a book close by, so that when I get the urge to look at the screen, instead I'll jump into the book. Um,
Yes.
just so happens the book is teaching me a skill that, heaven forbid, is a high income skill.
Right.
Here I am improving my skill. It's improving my ability to gain finances, and that's helping me more towards my goals. So there are tools you can use where, much to Veronica's question, it's not as much what I'm avoiding, it's actually what am I putting in place
Right.
to support the behavior.
Right. Right. I want to look at this last tool. And like I said, the first law that he talks about on how to create a good habit, he talks about design your environment. Design your environment. Make the cues of good habits obvious and visible. So he talks about design your environment, meaning if where you do work is in the office, then you just do your office work or your business work or on the computer in the office, and you just eat in the kitchen, and you just don't you go to bed in the bedroom, meaning like you're not watching TV and all of these different things. He used an example, and I'd heard this before, especially when people say they have a hard time going to sleep and they can't fall asleep. So there's something called sleep hygiene, and they don't want you to get into the bed until you are sleepy, and sleepy to want to go to sleep. Meaning, like, you don't get in the bed and get on your phone and do something else. No, you're training your body to know that when you get into this thing called a bed, you're training your mind, I should say rather, that's when you sleep. And
Right.
so if you can sit up in a chair and read a book, you're not telling your body to go to sleep until you don't get into the bed until you feel sleepy.
And because I think what they're getting at is good sleep hygiene is programming. And
Right.
like sleep is a perfect example of how you can get visual cues that will tell you, hey, you know what, now it's time to go to bed.
Mhm.
So it's the pineal gland that produces melatonin, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken. The bottom line is melatonin is released in direct proportion to how dark it is.
Yes.
Darker it is, the
Yes.
more melatonin is released. And melatonin is a natural sleep aid
Yes.
as produced by the body, So the one that you take externally, like there are people who have questions about that. They're experts
Right.
but the one that you produce
Yeah.
naturally, that one really can help you fall asleep.
Yes.
So look at that visual trigger. Like, you literally have a visual trigger to help you sleep. That stimulates a chemical to be released in your brain that
Mhm.
makes you sleepy. Well, then there's a right temperature. So usually, if the room should be a little on the cooler side. So it's dark enough, it's
Yeah.
cooler, it's quiet. Look at all these visual cues. And
Yes.
then, as Sister Tante is talking about, you get in bed. Now, for the young people, I wouldn't just wait till you're tired, because you're going to get tired about 1 a.m. So no, your
But
goal is Your goal is no, you get to bed and you inform your body it's time to
Time
go
to,
to sleep.
yes,
So
yes,
you don't have all kind of stuff going on in your bed because now your body sees it as doing this, doing that, doing this. No, as opposed to no, this is where we sleep. Okay.
right.
So just wanting to make sure that you leverage the environment,
Hmm.
cue the behavior, and in this case, the behavior you're cueing is helping you fall asleep, leveraging the environment.
Right. And so we just use that as an example, but for any habit, controlling or design your environment will help you. And just again, setting that signaling to your mind that cue that will help you to create that new habit. So yeah, there's a lot there, and this is just the first law. So I
Hey,
want to say that we can do a part 3 because we're not
we
yet.
can-
There's so much. There's still
yeah.
so much.
Look at
But we
Rayanne. Rayanne said, should we do mini celebrations when we reach harder goals? You should do mini celebrations when you even hit the easy goals. Like you should make this reinforcer that I'm getting somewhere. Um, so yeah, so especially if you're working with like kids,
what
for example,
what's
you
that little thing people used to have? I'm sorry.
what thing?
People used to hit it. It would be on their desk, and when they met their goal, they could hit this button, and then it made like a celebrate. You never saw it? I've seen it on people's
Oh,
desks. Put in the chat if you guys know what I'm talking about. If anyone ever
it
like
sounds like a great idea though.
yeah, it is. It is. See, marketing people, they know what when they create things. Somebody put in the chat, so I'm not the only person. I've seen it. I've never used it, but I've seen it. But go ahead. I interrupted you. Sorry. Go ahead.
You're just making stuff up, huh, Sister
I'm
Tati?
not. I've seen it. Somebody
I'm,
help me.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. No, but no, these rewards, they drive the behavior. And as Clint was talking about with the family, oh my goodness, if you're not giving those kids some incentives, if you're not giving those kids some incentives, some rewards, you know what? If you do X, then you get Y. If you're not celebrating as a family, you know what? We hit our marker. We did X, Y, or Z.
Yes.
It's not fun.
Yes.
And I assure you, part of why those video games are so addictive is because
Oh,
they have built-in rewards.
yes,
You hear
they
bling,
do.
bling, and
Yeah.
this and that, and the great music and great visuals, and it's a psychological,
Yeah. It's a whole thing going
like
on.
that. There's so much that's happening.
Hmm.
Why wouldn't we design our lives that way?
Yes.
Why wouldn't we have built-in rewards that reinforce our positive behaviors?
Yes.
One of the things he highlights in the book is we tend to we are not good at delaying gratification. We're not good at that.
Right.
And
No.
so if you really want
Not in this society. No,
right,
we're not.
so if you want to reinforce the behavior, you have to do those rewards. I'm so glad for your questions, Ray. Well done.
Yes. And thank you, El Sol. Thank you for not making me look crazy. It's called That Was Easy Button. You never saw that? It's
I
like,
now tell me that doesn't sound made up.
no, it's what it's and you buy it at Staples, and he's right. I remember I've seen it at Staples, and I'm thinking that's a he, she. Okay, but you buy it at Staples.
No,
And so when you complete the task, you just hit it like that was easy. Like, you were able to
you
do
know
what you
what's funny? You know what's funny? I've
think.
seen that before. I just didn't know that was
See?
it.
That was
I've
it. That's
seen,
what I was talking about.
I've seen that.
He tried to call me crazy. He's a
I've
psychiatrist.
seen
He was
that.
calling me crazy.
I was gonna call you and El Sol crazy, but
Also,
no,
we're not crazy.
I've
And
seen those before. Okay, you got me. I've seen those before. Yep.
yeah,
Red. Big old red,
red.
easy,
They're red.
metal.
And when
Uh,
people hit it, they feel like, yes, I did that. And it makes them feel good. They accomplished something.
Interesting.
Yes,
Interesting.
yes.
In-
Yeah, see, Courtney Trent has one in her classroom. Good, Courtney. Oh, for
Wow.
the students, I guess that's pretty cool. That's actually a great
I was
idea.
gonna lump all of you together.
The psychiatrist misdiagnosing us, guys. That's what he was doing.
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's cool.
we're gonna take this is like the last one because we're all out of time, but this is Clint's last question. what are some good brain foods?
Yeah, man. So, yeah, she's hitting it, man. Blueberries, walnuts. You
Yes.
hear
I was
about
gonna say the
flax,
kale.
flaxseed. What I mean, so obviously not exactly. I'm not a nutritionist. I
No,
wish I was, but I'm obviously not a good nutritionist. So you need to tune it into Healthy Tuesday.
or True Health Tuesday. Yes, healthy
Health
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Either
That's what
way,
you need.
definitely Healthy Tuesday. No, True Health Tuesday. But
That's what
you're
you
right.
need. You
I
you
was
need to, yeah, tune in to True Health Tuesday, Tokara, and ask that question. You'll get a mountain of information from both of
right.
those two doctors.
And I was gonna just, the things that were on that list that somebody put there was things that Dr. Kanisha Reynolds has said, and she's talked about, and the blueberries. We'll just go through this. So green leafy vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, and the dark colored vegetables. That combination of vegetables and fruit, they are healthy for our microbiome, which this is, and again, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, but this is what she has stated. And so they call the gut the second brain. When we create the healthy bacteria, it does help the connection to the brain to create healthy hormones for us as well. And so, but True Health Tuesdays can answer that in such a better way than I just did
Oh
it.
yeah, no, you killed it. You killed it. You certainly killed it compared to me.
That's
No,
because
no, but it's
I eat that way. That's why. But I'm still not. So I'm giving you my personal testimony. I'm not a doctor. That's just my
yeah,
personal testimony.
I'm
Yeah.
learning. I'm learning how to eat that.
I
I'm
I
gonna
I,
try to
I
eat that.
have to eat that way. Yes,
Yeah,
it's a must. But
yeah.
yes, this has been exciting. And see, and there's so much. And again, when you first brought this topic to me, I was like, oh, maybe, but it's so rich. We're gonna go into a third session with this. Like we haven't even covered it all. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this and learning and getting some tips and tools that are gonna help you be able to create healthy habits.
Props to Sister Atonte just being like so honest and upfront. She's like, I can put it, but I'll own it though. But nah,
I'm very
you
transparent. I'll be transparent and then help to build you up as well because you came up with the idea. That's the kind of friend I am.
you came correct though. You came correct. You came correct. You both you dived in. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Sometimes I don't see the light at first, but then when I get
You
the light, I run with
you
it.
you run you came correct. No question about it. Well,
Yes.
this was an absolute delight, and I think we hit pretty much all the questions. You guys look like you really enjoyed the topic, and so yeah, we're excited about part 3. Super.
Yes, we are. So spread the word and share on your social media. Definitely invite your friends to part 3 and let them know that they can go back and watch the first one. And after we are not live anymore, they can watch the second one as well. So definitely
Absolutely.
share on your social media. But we appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming. And we will see you next week for Mental Health Monday. God bless you. Have a good
Take
evening.
care. Bye bye.